Hey everybody, and Tony here with a review of Wagner's Das Rheingold, live from the Wiener Staatsoper, which I saw on YouTube thanks to my very awesome friend Dylan Haynes, aka Coloratura Fan, aka Logan D. The conductor was Adam Fischer, the production was done by Sven Erik Bechtolf, the set designs were done by Rolf Glittenberg, the costumes were done by Mariana Glittenberg, and the videographer was Friedrich Zorn. This also marks the second time I've seen this particular opera, so let's cut to the chase of what I thought about the production, costumes, singing, and conducting. The production overall was quite elegant in its own way. I love how the entire opera opened with their rendition of the Rhine River, where we see all of these cool colors ranging from green to blue, and it gives us the illusion that we are deep under the sea, and it also helps that Albrecht was kind of topless, stating that he's also swimming with the Rhine maidens, all the while discovering their gold. Then going to Valhalla, it was pretty good, but I would have loved to have a little bit more scenery, but I get the general idea. It's on a cloudy area, it's up in the clouds, up in the sky, and it's basically up in the heavens where the gods reign, and we have all of these pillars which basically state that they are of high importance. And when the giants come in, I love how Wotan, Fricka, and Freya stand on a certain post and they strike a pose to state that they're almost disguising themselves as statues, but the giants could see right through them. But the home of the Nibelungs was definitely the one that really caught my attention. Because what does Albrecht do to all of the Rheingold? That's right, he makes women's body parts out of them. And he's basically the Dr. Frankenstein, with Mime being his Igor, to really make their own renditions of the ideal human being. And you also get to see some interesting images. Like when Albrecht turns into a snake, we see a real-life snake on the screen. And when he turns into a frog, he does his hopping moves, which is absolutely kind of fun to watch. And when Albrecht gets captured, he's even tied with long red ribbons to state something like blood, something like the anger that Albrecht is about to feel. And what I also notice is that instead of Wotan plunging his spear into Albrecht's ring finger, he instead pulls that ring out of his finger, and it just seemed rather cool. I also liked the ending, it looked rather gorgeous. So overall, the production, while I could have wanted a lot more, I still have to give everyone credit for really making this quite visually stunning in its own special way, even though I would have loved to have a lot more scenery, a lot more rock formations. It could have been that more visually appealing, but I still have to give credit to everyone behind the production for doing a pretty good job. The costumes were pretty solid as well, especially when it comes to the Rhine maidens and how gorgeous they really look, and the gods looking quite elegant, with Fricka being the absolute standout, what with her gorgeous black hair in a bun and in a midnight black gown. She looked absolutely gorgeous. Yes, I would have loved to have a little bit more elaboration on the costumes as well, especially for the gods. But the costumes that really stole the show for me were that of the giants, because they had their faces painted black and they had like different rocks, black rocks all over their body to state that they are creatures of the earth. And they have used the Earth's resources to build something as heavenly like Valhalla, which I really found something very interesting in the juxtaposition between Valhalla, which is in the heavens, and the Earth, which is basically where the mortals live, and to some extent where the giants pretty much have their home. And you even have the home of the Nibelungs, where it's pretty dark. And overall, the lighting is really dramatic. So I have to give credit to where it's all due, as everyone in the production and costumes department did absolutely really well. And now we get to the singing, starting off with Tomasz Konieczny as Wotan, the king of the gods. There's no doubt that this is one of his all-time signature roles, and he did very, very well, giving him a lot of dignity and giving him a lot of roguishness as well, making it a very fine embodiment of this iconic character. Yes, I've seen this gentleman sing the Walküre Wotan in the Budapest State Opera House, and I thought he did pretty well, and he did really, really well. And what more can I say? This gentleman was very solid in his embodiment of Wotan. His voice was really fine. It's rich. It has that really fine timbre to it. And it's an overall fine quality. However, I have in my ears the sounds of the likes of Ferdinand Franz and Hans Hotta, two of the greatest Wotans of all time, with their richer, rounder, more basso-like voices. But I still have to give credit to Mr. Konieczny for what he had to embody as Wotan. In the role of Donna, the god of the storms and of strength, we have the Israeli dramatic baritone Boaz Daniel, who I also saw a couple of months ago as Klingsor, also live streamed from the Wiener Staatsoper. And this was definitely one of his finest roles of all time. He really made a great use of his dramatic baritone instrument and really made the best out of this really wonderful character with his Heda Hedo, and his call to the clouds was very fine all throughout. He was totally in fine vocal form throughout the opera, and his embodiment of the character was so noble, yet also rough and tumble, which is a very fine combination. He did a very wonderful job as Donna. Then we go to Loge, the trickster god of the fire, sung by Norbert Ernst. Over the years, Mr. Ernst has specialized in a lot of different roles, from the character tenor roles of Monostatos to the Four Servants from Tales of Hoffmann, to the more lyrical roles like Pedrillo from Entführung aus dem Serail, Andres from Wozzeck, and Tamino from Die Zauberflöte, all the way up to the more spinto roles like this, and even to his embodiment of Max from Der Fliegende Holländer. And this year, he's about to release an album of him singing some very fine German arias for a spinto tenor and even for a Hellen tenor. And I have to say that he did a magnificent job, not only as a musician with his very fine lyric tenor voice, which he manipulates very, very well, but also his acting, making Loge a very dry, sarcastic, witty, a very fun character, and he didn't overact his character. He was very subtle, he was very nuanced in his approach to Loge, and he did an overall wonderful job embodying this very fun demigod. Then we go to Froh, the god of spring and beauty, sung by the very wonderful American lyric tenor Jason Bridges. I've never heard of this gentleman before, but after watching and listening to this gentleman, his voice was really wonderful. I have to say that his overall manner and his vocal prowess on stage was absolutely fine. And he had one of the finest lyric tenor instruments I have ever heard from this gentleman. He had a wonderful sound. It's creamy, it's scintillating, and it has all of that fine and wonderful timbre, which I love in any lyric tenor singing Froh. Then we go to the goddesses, starting off with Erda, sung by the wonderful mezzocontralto Anna Larsson. I first heard Madame Larsson singing Mon cœur s'ouvre ta voix from Saint-Saëns, Samson et Dalila on YouTube, and I thought she was absolutely divine. And it was also surprising that she also specialized in a lot of different roles aside from her usual contralto range. Aside from singing roles like Erda and Clytemnestra, she also sang roles like Dalila, Carmen, and she's gonna sing Kundry next year at the Staatsoper im Theater. I think she's also sang Kundry before. But this is also the first time that she's going to be singing this role at the Staatsoper im Theater. And what a voice Madame Larsson had as Erda. It's focused, it's smoky, it's round, it's rich. It is absolutely fine all throughout the registers, and her musicianship is absolutely top tier, and her stage presence as Erda is graceful, gorgeous, yet empowering. It is absolutely one of the finest portrayals of Erda ever. And then we go to one of my absolute favorite mezzos of all time, Michaela Schuster, singing Fricka, the goddess of marriage. She gives one of the finest portrayals of Fricka ever. She's able to make her suffering yet strong, compassionate yet fierce, tender, loving yet firm and commanding. She really knows how to bring this character to life, which is no surprise as she has been singing this role for many, 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 many years. She did a very fine job really being a very nuanced actress and an equally nuanced singer. She has one of the finest mezzo-soprano voices I have ever heard. She continues to use that instrument very, very well, which is no surprise as I have listened to a lot of recordings of her, especially some YouTube clips of her singing, and she was absolutely wonderful as Fricka. She had a very fine voice and a very strong and very beautiful stage presence. Then we go to her sister, Freya, the goddess of youth and beauty, sung once again by Caroline Wenborn. And she was absolutely gorgeous as Freya, as to be expected. She's able to make her sweet yet pretty courageous and pretty firm in her characterization. But her voice was the absolute selling point. I really love the signature richness and creaminess she has in that very wonderful spinto soprano voice, which is no surprise as I've seen her live as Marianne Leitmetzerin from Der Rosenkavalier. You can also check my review of her performance in that role as well. And I thought she did very wonderful. And she has a very awesome future in the spinto soprano repertoire and even the dramatic soprano repertoire. Time will tell as her voice shows a lot of progress and development. Then we go to the Nibelung Dwarves, starting off with Alberich, sung by Johann Schmeckenbecher, a very fine, dramatic baritone who really knows how to combine humor with drama, venom with empathy. And he really combines that all into one fine melting pot of a very fine performance, which was no surprise as he has done this role for many years and really continues to find a lot of interesting facets about Alberich, a lot of interesting characteristics as well, and he really knows how to bring them all on the stage. Then we go to his poor brother Mime, sung by the veteran character tenor Herwig Pecoraro. Over the years, I have heard this gentleman also on YouTube and a fair amount of recordings as well. He has that very signature and very distinct character tenor voice, which he is very well known for. He's been singing this role for a great number of years as well, and a lot of different opera houses too. But it's not just Mime that he also specializes in, but also a great number of character tenor roles like Monostatos from The Magic Flute, Pedrillo from Entführung aus dem Serail, Jacquino from Fidelio, the captain from Wozzeck, and many, many other fine roles for a character tenor like him. And I really love that fine character tenor voice that he uses. It's got that fine musicianship. It's not nasal, nor is it too annoying. It's absolutely very fine. And he really does a very fine job as a singing actor, really embodying Mima's pain and suffering, and also his deeper, darker, more sinister side very, very well. And the Giants were superbly sung by Sorin Coliban's Fafna and Ain Anger's Fazalt. Let's start off with Sorin Coliban as Fafna. I really love the timbre of his voice, which is no surprise as I've seen him as the evil magician from Fatima, and he did very wonderfully. And hearing him as Fafna was an absolute blast. He has a very strong and sturdy stage presence. It is muscular in every single way. It is commanding. It is visceral. And he really knows how to play the nastiness in Fafna very well. And I really love his evil laugh in the very end of the opera. He did absolutely fabulously, embodying such a nasty giant like Fafna. And in the more innocent giant role of Fazalt, we have Ain Anger, who, as to be expected, has a very fine basso cantante / profondo voice. His manner was absolutely commanding and equally as muscular and handsome as well. And these two dudes did absolutely wonderfully as the Giants. They sang with such ferocity, yet nobility. They sang with a lot of handsome and muscular, dark basso tones, and really going down to some of the profondo notes while maintaining that signature basso cantante quality that these guys have. And I would really love to see these two bassos on stage again. Who knows? I would love to hear Coliban as the Grand Inquisitor, Anger as Philip, and with him as Fight Pogna, and Anger as Hans Sachs, him as Titorel, him as Gornemans, and probably seeing a lot more of these two bassos as these awesome basso parts really clashing at each other. Who knows? Time will tell, as these guys were the absolute stars, really making the best out of these awesome Giants. And then we go to the Rhine Maidens, starting off with Andrea Carroll's superbly sung Voglinde, using such a gorgeous, light lyric soprano voice, and making her so minxish yet so innocent as well. Rachel Franke's Welgunde has her signature light lyric mezzo voice, which she uses gorgeously. And Soriana Kushpla as Frosthilde has a smoky timbre, yet also maintains that girlishness as well. So overall, what more can I say about the singing? It was absolutely amazing. It was scintillating, and everyone was a freaking pro. And the conducting done by Adam Fischer was absolutely well done. Really paying a clean, close attention to the text and to the music and making sure that everyone is together. So overall, this was a very fine production of Das Rheingold, but the selling points for me were all of the magnificent singers and the fine conducting by Adam Fischer. If you haven't seen this production yet, then the entire shebang is on the link in the description box below. You can check it out. Please do check it out because this is a once-in-a-lifetime offer. This is a very fine production, and the singers are absolutely awesome. You really have to watch and hear it to believe it. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for my review of the Wiener Staatsoper's production of Wagner's Die Walküre. So until then, good night, everybody.